Hi, I'm Vanessa Shaw, and this is the Horror Squad podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Horror Squad podcast. This is episode number 346, where tonight we will be talking about 2006's The Hills Have Eyes. Of course, the remake to Wes Craven's classic. And, Steve, we also have a very special interview this week.
We do. It's a dual purpose interview this week. We have not only one of the graceful and amazing people that are going to be at It's a Bunch of Halloween event in October for the Hocus Pocus thing, but is also one of the stars of this film, and that is Vinessa Shaw. And you really, really don't want to miss this one. Absolutely great story. She talks about Hocus Pocus, of course, Salem. She talks about The Hills Have Eyes. She also dives into like Stanley Kubrick and Tom Cruise, and yeah, there's a whole really awesome stories that you really want to check out. So that is at the end of this episode. So don't miss it.
Excellent. And a little teaser for the interview. And not just to gas her up, I told her one of her answers is one of the best answers we've ever received in the entire history of this podcast for all the interviews we've ever done. So definitely stick around for the end of the episode for that interview because it's a fantastic interview. And we actually went we tried to limit it to about a half hour. We went almost an hour on this interview because she just had such great answers and just a lot to tackle with her. So definitely stick around for that.
I think we should also mention that our secret project, which we announced last week, is going to have its Indiegogo campaign release in the next few weeks. We were hoping to launch it this week, but we want to wait for the final poster before we launch it, just so we have kind of the assets and everything like that. We have, no joke, the most amazing people working on that poster. So yeah, we'll definitely, as soon as we get the poster art and everything like that, the Indiegogo campaign will begin, where you could find all sorts of stuff like signed DVDs, signed posters, scripts. You could buy props. You can help design some characters. You can name some characters. You could be in the movie yourself. A whole bunch of stuff. Just stay tuned. Next few weeks, I promise you, it will launch, and it's going to be quite the project. And I'm really looking forward to talking more about it. And just join us on this adventure as we go through our first film. And if you want to know more and get some behind the scenes, information, stuff like that, pictures, all that stuff, just join our Discord. It's free to join, and we post all sorts of stuff in there. So I think that would be the best place for you to get all of the up to date news. But we will also give an update on the podcast next week. Hopefully, we'll have a date for that launch.
Alrighty, gentlemen. I think that's really about it. Once again, don't forget Hocus Pocus weekend, like we just mentioned with Vanessa Shaw. It's literally a month away at this point. So head to it's just a bunch of Halloween.com if you haven't already to buy tickets for that. We go over a lot of that in the interview as well, but it's going to be an awesome weekend of events over there. So come hang out with the squad and cast members of Hocus Pocus in Salem, Massachusetts, Halloween capital of the world. Literally 2 weeks before Halloween. It's going to be just an awesome time. And I think that's it. So, gentlemen, let's get right in to the podcast and what you've been watching this week. What you been watching?
Haven't been watching a lot, but I'm getting prepped for Horror Hound coming up in 2 weeks. And man, I'm pumped because I'm meeting the Silent Night, Deadly Night part 1 and 2 guys. So I'm definitely getting I'm going a different route. I think I'm gonna go away from 8x10s and start getting some figures signed. So I got some of the NECA figures for Ricky from part 2 and then part 1 and everything. And I can't wait to just meet them and have them, say, obviously say garbage day in my face. And I'm also get the minor figure too. The miners could be there from my Bloody Valentine. And I think like a blue Sharpie would really pop on those freaking figures. So looking forward to that. Hang out with the homies Brent TJ for a couple days over there in Horror Hound Cincinnati. And man, it's gonna be a good time. And shout out to them for the press tickets. Thank you very much.
Awesome. I would say paint pen if you
Paint
A
pen.
lot of the celebrities have them these days, but if not, I would invest in some paint pens. It takes like another extra couple minutes for it to dry, so you just gotta have to be careful about smudging and stuff. But paint pens on like the figures and shit, really, they pop awesome.
The only thing I don't like about them is if they mess up,
Yeah,
they
I mean
mess up.
that is the risk for sure.
Yeah.
You definitely want to make sure it's primed and stuff like that because I have had a couple of issues with them. But man, if they are done right, they really look amazing. They pop out great. All right, but I digress. All right, so my first one tonight is I got two actually brand new 2024 releases tonight. First one is M. Night Shyamalan's Trap, starring is it Josh Hartnett? I always confuse Josh Hartnett and
That's
Channing
it.
Tatum these days, but Josh Hartnett. Yeah, so Trap, it is available currently over on VOD for the low price of $19.99 for anyone that is wanting to pay that much right now. But I'm sure it will be hitting cheaper streaming very soon. But yeah, so Trap is about a father and daughter who decide to go to a Taylor Swift-esque concert. The Taylor Swift actress, actually, in this one, played by Shyamalan's daughter, who is also a singer. So Shyamalan, a little bit of nepotism there for sure. But anyway, they go to this concert, and lo and behold, what they find out is this concert is a trap, like the name of the movie. Essentially, there is a serial killer out there called the Butcher. They were tipped off that the Butcher was going to be attending this concert, and this concert was sort of set up as a trap to try to catch this serial killer. And I'll leave it at that. This movie was all right. I thought the concert stuff, like the first like 45 minutes of this movie, the first half of this movie at the concert was great. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. Josh Hartnett gives an awesome performance as sort of like an unhinged person. And then the second half really, I think, dips a lot. Like once they leave the concert venue, which was unfortunate. Also, this movie might have set the record for the amount of plot conveniences in a movie ever. Like the amount of plot, like, it gets absolutely ridiculous at points where you're just like, wow, like, you really, really have to just go with it. But it's tough to at times because you're just like, wow, like it's ridiculous. It just gets so like ridiculous at times. I mean, it's a decent movie. Will it make my top 10 or anything like that? Absolutely not. I didn't hate watching it. There's definitely some decent entertainment value here, but I just think it could have been a lot better. And if you're if you're expecting like a lot of horror in this one, I think you'll definitely be disappointed as well. It's definitely more like straight thriller. When you hear the idea of a serial killer at a concert, you're expecting like a lot of kills. And unfortunately, you don't get that in this one. But yeah, I gave it a 3 out of 5. It's decent. It's definitely, I would say, worth a watch, but definitely not a $20 watch. Wait for it to get free on streaming or something, and then I'd say it's worth your time.
Awesome. So no 60s for me this week because next week is when we're doing our top of the 60s episode. But you have basically just the day this podcast releases to send in your list. Just thank you to everyone who did send a list. Really look forward to doing that episode and talking about what our top 10 movies will be. So that'll be a really fun one next week. But for this week, so we had a movie club last Friday or Thursday, I should say, and we watched 1990's Pledge Night over on Tubi. So this movie is about a group of guys who are pledges, and it's basically like a hazing thing where for the first, no joke, 45 minutes of the movie, it's just basically people at a fraternity getting hazed and having to do like a series of challenges ranging from eating gross shit to having their dicks tied to a rope and having women pull them. And you also have like people picking up cherries with their assholes and trying to get as many as you can in a bucket. Like it's literally that for
Is that
45
possible?
minutes long. Yeah, well, apparently it is in this movie. And at one point, all of us in the movie are like, what the fuck is going on? Like, there's no horror in this whatsoever. It's just basically like a teen movie of like just guys doing weird shit. But all of a sudden, out of fucking nowhere, the horror comes into play, and that's where the movie starts to shine a little bit. There's actually pretty good practical effects. There's some cool kills. The makeup, not the best I've seen, but it's still pretty cool. And honestly, that last kind of like half hour really made up for the really slow beginning. Now, I wouldn't say this is a great film, but I had a lot of fun watching it with a bunch of amazing people that showed up to the movie club. I gave it 2.5 stars out of 5. I don't know if it would be as good if you watch it on your own, but with the group that we were, it was we had a lot of laughs. So that's Pledge Night from 1990 over on Tubi.
It was 90, you said?
Yeah,
Okay, I thought it was. I must be confusing with something else. I remember there's a Pledge Night that was like 2016-ish or something like that.
maybe a
But
remake. I don't
yeah,
know.
maybe. I do have one though. Actually, it's Long Legs, which I haven't listened to your guys's twosome episode. But yeah, I mean, you guys listen to the episode, so I'm not gonna go too much into the plot. FBI agent investigating a serial killer and stuff like that. There, I think you guys predicted I would rate it a 3.5 out of 5, if I remember correctly, and that's exactly what I thought it was. I wish it didn't go supernatural. I preferred it to be straight, like, there's a serial killer and he's mysteriously getting families to die and stuff like that, and we need to investigate him, one, and then two, like, how he's doing it, things like that. I didn't really love the supernatural angle, to be honest with you. The doll and like the spear thing in the doll's head didn't really make sense to me, because I think you had to turn your brain off a little bit too much for this movie, because it's like easily avoided, right? Some random person shows up to your house with a doll that looks just like your daughter and you don't question it. You let them come in and like, yeah, cool. I don't give a fuck if the church said I won. Get the fuck out of here, bitch. Like, I don't know you. You're giving me a doll that looks just like my kid. That's not suspicious to anybody. And I think like Nicolas Cage's character, while he was really creepy looking with like the pasty white flesh and everything, and I think it was in Steve's review on Letterboxd, maybe Joe, but someone said that he sounded and acted a little bit too much like Nicolas Cage, and it kind of removed you from it a little bit, because I thought his look was awesome. Most of the time he spoke was awesome, but there's a couple moments where I'm like, oh, that's Nicolas Cage being goofy. So yeah, I wish it would have been a little bit more streamlined and just been about the FBI agent maybe being like a little bit, I don't know, quirky, or maybe on the spectrum or something like that, where she's doesn't fit in but she's really bright, trying to investigate this killer, because I think there was a lot of stuff that was like, really, she's not gonna tell anyone about getting a letter from him and shit like that. And I don't know. So overall, I still liked it a lot. I really appreciated it getting fucking weird and doing something different, but I think it was good, not fantastic. So maybe a lower top 10 for me. I know you guys rated it a 4, so I liked it a little bit better, but I still thought it was a really interesting film.
Mhm. Yeah, I would definitely go and listen to our discussion, because we went into a lot of that with the supernatural stuff. We touched on that quite a bit actually in the review. So, all right, glad you enjoyed it for the most part. All right, my last one tonight, 2024 release as well, a movie called Oddity. Now this one is one I haven't heard like a lot of people talk about, but the people who have seen it and told me about it seem to have really enjoyed it. So I was excited to check this out. And then I went and saw who directed it before watching it. And it was the same director who did Caveat, which is a movie I really enjoyed just a couple years ago when it came out. So Oddity is about a basically a pair of sisters. One of the sisters, and this isn't a spoiler because it happens at the very beginning of the movie and it's actually in the plot synopsis of the movie. One of the sisters is murdered, and the other sister ends up going to the house she was murdered in that the husband still lives in, to try to basically find out what happened to her sister that night, because she is a medium. She owns an oddity shop, hence the name of the movie Oddity. And she brings basically like some of her items to try to help her solve this crime. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. This one, man, it's really interesting. It's got some great atmosphere, like in this sort of haunted house type setting. It's also sort of a crime like thriller as well. It kind of melds like a lot of different subgenres together here, which I thought was really cool and really interesting. There's definitely some genuinely creepy moments. There's one item in particular that is awesome. And it gets into some witchy stuff too, which obviously, you know, is right up my alley. But yeah, man, I really dug this one. It's really cool. If you're into like haunted house ghost type movies, I think for sure Steve, I think will really love this one. But I think Todd will definitely enjoy this one as well. I give it a 4 out of 5. I think it will definitely make my top 10. I definitely expect it to make my top 10 of the year. You know, it's not perfect, you know, that's for sure. There's definitely some. I think there's I was able to predict a lot of the quote unquote twists pretty early on. But man, like I said, the atmosphere and the creep factor, we watched it at night with the lights off, and I think it's a great way to watch this one for sure. You know, so definitely check it out. I think it's one that definitely I don't think a lot of people have seen or are talking about, but I think it's definitely a hidden gem that's come out this year. So that's Oddity from this year, and it's currently available VOD.
Was Caveat the one where the dude babysits a girl and he's tied up?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's chained.
Okay,
Yeah,
that
and
was
he
a
can
good
only
one.
lift
Yeah,
her
with
up.
the like
Yeah,
the dead body in the wall or something. That was really creepy.
and yeah, it's the bunny is like a big
Bunny.
part of it
Oh,
too.
yeah, yeah.
Which
Okay.
actually, you know, not a big
Oh,
spoiler, but just a sort of fun cameo. The bunny makes an
nice.
appearance in this movie.
Nice. Yeah, I still get nightmares from that fucking woman in the wall from
Dude,
Caveat.
that was freaky, man.
Yeah, super freaky.
I think that was probably on all our like scare of the years.
Yeah, that was
scene.
my scare of the year that year for sure.
Nice.
Just a note, Oddity comes out on Shudder on September 27th. So for those who want to wait for that, it's just a month away at this point.
Could be worth a review if we have some, but probably not because our schedule's pretty busy.
Yeah,
So.
we're still pretty busy. Yeah. All right, so my final one this week is as simple as I had the Blu-ray out because it was a 2-pack, and I figured why not? Haven't seen no in a while. It is playing in Canada on Disney Plus. I believe the US that would mean Hulu, and that is 2007's The Hills Have Eyes 2. So this is The Hills Have Eyes 2 remake 2, not original Hills Have Eyes 2. So
Garbage.
well, we'll see. So this one, it takes place a little bit after the Hills Have Eyes remake does, and there's the military with a group of scientists who go to the place where a lot of the murders happen from the first movie, and the mutants are and stuff like that, and they get killed. So a military training group who are training not too far away are sent to that location to go find them, and of course they run into the mutants and chaos ensues from there, basically. I hadn't seen this since I first got the Blu-ray pack for Hills Have Eyes and Hills Have Eyes 2, so I was kind of eager to rewatch it. I like Todd just said, I didn't remember loving this one, but I figured why not? You know, the disc is already out and stuff like that. But I gotta say, I was kind of impressed this time around. The characters aren't great by any stretch of the imagination. The mutants are not as cool as the ones that they had in the remake that we're reviewing today, but it still had some really cool kills. There was a lot of like great practical gore. I liked seeing the mutants lair a little bit more because we didn't see a ton of that in The Hills Have Eyes, and I think it's a worthy film in the series, in my opinion. I gave it 3.5 stars out of 5. I think if you're gonna watch The Hills Have Eyes, you might as well watch The Hills Have Eyes 2 as well. So yeah, check it out on Hulu or Disney Plus if you're in Canada.
Oh, I remember hating that one, so maybe I got to give it give it a shot. Give it another shot.
I don't remember anything about it. Non-horror wise, I watched Twisters. Have you got either of you guys watched it yet?
No, soon though.
Because I don't want my wife to leave me for fucking.
Glenn
What's his
Powell.
face?
He's a handsome man.
He's a handsome fella.
He's a handsome fella, I gotta say. Average. You know,
Nothing special.
nothing special. You know, it's pales in comparison to obviously the original.
Yeah,
Sure.
you can't beat Billy Paxton.
And-
Come on, man.
You can't.
I can't believe they didn't bring like Helen Hunt back in any capacity for it either. Like
sucks.
cameo, nothing. Like it's just
Not even a name drop. Like
no. There was
Huh.
like no mention of like any of that original like cast or anything. Like I thought for sure they would try to find a way to like find some sort of connection there, but there's really nothing. The only thing that's similar is it's in Oklahoma. Like, but other than that, there's like no other sort of connection to
And
that
Dorothy,
original
I think,
movie.
makes an
Yeah, and
appearance.
Dorothy makes an appearance, but like really like it's really random. Like it just seems sort of out of place, honestly.
Yeah.
And then there's some there's some subtle things like they want like they drive like a red pickup truck that looks like the one in the original, but like no other sort of connection to that first movie, which I thought was kind of weird. I feel like they should have connected it some way somehow. But yeah, if anyone cares, I'd give it like a 2.5, 3 at best. So it's all right, but it's watchable. That's for sure.
So just out of curiosity, what medium did you watch it in? Like, did you watch it on your phone in the gym, or did you watch it on your
Oh no,
TV?
I watched it on my TV. Yeah.
Okay, because I feel like this was probably a theater
yeah
thing,
yeah. I probably definitely would have been better like in a theater setting with like the some of the tornado scenes and stuff. But yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
Cool.
And Glenn Powell.
We got twins. Do they say that at least? We got twins.
There is a twin thing going on there, and of course
Cow.
like an F5, of course, is the big tornado thing.
Not an F6, like never existed before.
No, there was nothing
F7.
nothing that crazy.
Any like belts saving people's lives by strapping them to pipes and stuff, or
no,
does
but
he punch the tornado?
There is actually like a Shining horror movie scene. There is another horror themed theater type scene in this one, which I think horror fans will somewhat appreciate. It's not as cool as the Shining one, but
playing the final episode of all movies.
Oh yeah, they should.
Maybe
they
Twisters.
were smart.
Twisters 3. What's the third title? There's Twisters. Twisters.
Twisties. Twisties. Ooh, like it. All right.
Twister.
Alrighty.
Oh, hey, one second. I bought the fucking Fanta for Beetlejuice.
Oh, I heard it was
terrible.
It was
awful.
I've yet to try it. But...
It's so bad, dude. It's green apple something, and it tastes like fucking pepper.
Pepper.
Like, it was fucking ugh.
I've heard.
It was disgusting. I passed along to everybody in the house. No one liked it.
Yeah, I keep hearing potpourri. That it tastes like potpourri.
Oh yeah, okay. I can see that, but yeah, it was fucking gross.
All right.
Wasted $2.
I'll still try it if I see it out when I'm out and about. Yeah, just for the fun of it, I suppose. But Beetlejuice coming out, I think the day this episode releases, actually, right?
Yeah.
So this episode, very exciting. We'll be covering it soon.
Yep.
All righty. All right, gentlemen. That's it for What Watch. Thank you so much. So now it's time to bust out the books, Todd. What we got for scores on trivia?
Trivia, quarter number 3, Steve in a narrow lead with 14, Joe behind him 13, me behind them 12 for quarter number 3.
Very close.
We have 1 month remaining before quarter 4. It's a close match.
Close.
Who would like to lead off today?
I'll lead us off.
Oh.
I do have a theme this week. Let's see if you can guess it.
Wes Craven or Hills Have Eyes themed?
It is not Wes Craven themed.
It might be Vanessa Shaw.
Oh, we'll see. All right,
got it.
You will never
quirky Romano questions.
You won't guess the theme this week. I already know it, but we'll see. Because I saved these from like weeks and weeks ago from another movie.
I love it.
So, but it's still a theme. It's still themed. Okay. All right. So the inspiration for this film came from the fact that a box of laundry detergent fell from a shelf in the director's home. It was placed far in the back of the shelf, and there was no logical explanation as to how it possibly could have fallen.
Paranormal Activity?
Correct.
Wow.
Nice. I just guessed it based on
Ghost. I was thinking Ghost, but I wasn't.
They put flour out, right? To see footsteps or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or something like that, yeah.
All right, I will take over. You need to match the family to the movie.
Ooh.
The family's name is the Draytons. The Draytons.
The Mist?
Correct.
Yeah.
Misty.
I didn't take my Fanta juice today. Guys are on fucking fire.
It's that damn pepper green apple, dude.
Yeah. All right. Guess the movie by the IMDb parental guide. We start with some sex, maybe nudity.
Oh yeah. Sweet.
The main character gets on top of a woman while she is sitting in a chair and has sex with her. We only see his bare backside, some thrusting, but nothing too graphic is shown. His bare buttocks and side of her breasts are visible.
What a funny word. Buttocks.
Violence
Okay.
and gore. A man arm wrestles another man before breaking his arm so that the bone protrudes from his skin.
Oh.
Some blood is shown.
Over the top?
I was thinking over the top.
Yeah, nailed it.
Wrong genre.
Profanity. 2 uses of fuck, God, and
Yep.
Jesus. 1
Happens.
use of oh my God,
Happens.
my God,
Yep.
damn, ass,
Mhm.
cock, and oh my goodness.
Oh.
Plus
Got the
3
cock bomb in
uses
there.
of sex and 8 uses of oh God.
Oh, they went over the top with the eight uses of oh god. I'm
Mm.
surprised that got made.
I will say the arms wrestling scene does sound familiar.
Arm wrestling. Snap.
Alcohol, drugs, and smoking. Characters drink and smoke casually in the film. Not too much there.
Mhm.
Frightening and intense scenes. There are almost no jump scares in the film. It instead has a slow, gradual build of tension, making for a consistent sense of fear and dread throughout the movie.
Like it?
Yeah. Not what I was thinking at all. So I'm at a complete loss.
That's all we got, huh?
I'll give you another sex and nudity.
Okay.
Yes.
A woman
please.
wearing nothing but panties and an
Oh.
unzipped jacket is
Oh.
yanked out of bed by a shirtless man, and her bare breasts are briefly shown.
Very nice. Nothing but a jacket and underwear, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's ringing a bell here. I
I
feel like the giveaway should be the arm wrestling.
The arm wrestling, probably.
Yeah.
Is it Terminator?
Wrong. All the other ones are way too easy. Like it's like
All right,
easy
yeah.
giveaway.
I don't know.
Mm,
Well, you guys have definitely seen this,
mhm.
and it's a pretty well known film.
Pretty well known. What's
Yeah.
the year range for us here?
I think it's the 80s. Pretty sure it's the
Oh, the
80s.
80s.
Mm.
Yeah, no clue.
Yeah, I got nothing.
You guys give up?
Yeah.
It is The Fly.
The Fly. I don't remember the arm breaking scene.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's when he gets stronger.
Will there be?
We should review The Fly at some point.
We should.
It's good, man. When I watched it for the top of the 80s episode, I was
Mhm.
like really
Great one.
impressed.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
I knew it
gross,
was
yeah.
good, but I didn't remember it being that good.
Maybe a double feature with the Vincent Price
With
one.
the Vince
Oh.
Price one, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that one?
Yeah,
With his
I
little
have
fly
not.
head?
Yeah.
It's so funny. Like
it is.
Yeah.
It's actually a good movie too. Like I enjoy that one.
Yeah,
It's not as good
Well-
as the Goldblum, obviously.
sure.
Side conversation. Will there be will there be sex and nudity in the final episode?
Ooh.
Our movie.
We'll see.
Yes,
Yes, there will.
I think so.
So be
Let's see.
there. You'll see.
We'll
Full
see.
dong.
Nudity 50-50.
Mm.
But
Joe's
there
been
might
doing
be.
sit-ups because he wants a six-pack to pop.
I know. That's-
There's a topless scene in mine. So
Ooh.
Which I cannot wait to film. That's gonna be amazing. It's not me, it's someone else. But I also have dibs on oiling any abdominal muscles. So
right.
that's
Who will be doing the parental guide for the final episode? Will
Oh,
you
my
be doing that
word.
one, Steve?
That's
Yeah,
gonna be
I'll
fun.
take it, right?
Yeah.
then I want to
Please.
read it on my own, like in like 2 years later. You know, like
Well, we gotta do. It's gonna be fun doing like goofs, trivia,
yeah.
parental guide.
God, it's gonna be so big just because we're gonna have fun with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who does the is there like a person who actually does the parental guide, or is it like a
You know
the
what?
People
filmmakers
submit
do
it and then they like.
Yeah, okay.
they
Wow,
go
we should
through
ask
them.
someone to. We should like send a screener to someone who does the parental guides and be like, "Hey, can you do the parental guide for us?"
Oh, I'll do it. Shit.
It'd be funny though if a third party like just did
Yeah.
it. It'd be
That we have
hilarious.
no idea who it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Alrighty,
Alright,
I
back to
think it's
you.
back to me.
Joe.
Yep.
All right, guess the movie based on the IMDb information. This movie was released in the year 2012 with a PG-13 rating,
Ooh,
clocking in at 1 hour and 35 minutes.
good.
Okay, sweet spot.
Yeah, that's a good spot.
Categorized as supernatural horror, drama, fantasy, horror, and thriller. Currently sitting at a 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb
Not bad, not bad.
with a 62 Metascore. Cast: Janet McTeer, Syrian Hines, Molly Harmon, and Sophie Stuckey. I am leaving out.
Not
I
a
don't know a
single
single
name.
Bigger
one. Yeah,
actors.
I don't know who any of those people are.
Directed by James Watkins.
Nope.
I've heard the name, but
Tagline is, do you believe in ghosts? I'll give you all.
I have one in my mind. I just don't want to say it because.
I'll give you all the taglines
Okay.
Okay.
because I feel like this is a tougher one. So tagline number 1 was, do you believe in ghosts? Tagline number 2, she'll never let go. Tagline number 3, what did they see? And tagline number 4, the angel of death.
Is it The Ring?
It is not The Ring.
I don't think this is 2012, but I'll just throw it out. Is it Monster
Wait.
House?
Damn it.
It is not Monster House.
The Ring was not 2012 either. It wasn't like 2002
Yeah.
or 3 or something like that.
Mhm.
Monster House is fucking good, man.
Yeah, I just don't remember what year that was.
What did they see? Angel of Death. Sounds like a foreign tagline for that. Shoot. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
All right. I'll give it away. I'll give you the lead actor in the film.
Okay.
And if you've seen it, you'll 100% know the answer. Daniel Radcliffe.
The Woman in Black?
Correct.
Oh,
Nice. Which I thought was decent.
yeah, the first
Yeah.
one was.
Nothing
Second
special.
one is pretty bad.
Yeah, agreed.
I think I saw that one. Wasn't it like World War II and like a pilot that's
think
like
so.
shamed or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
Yep. That sounds right.
Alrighty, up back to me. The Lost Boys.
Seen
What
it.
is the name of the child vampire?
Oh, yeah. That's on the milk carton.
Yep, he's in there. But what do his little homie vampires call him?
Buddy? I don't remember.
Yeah,
You
I
had the
don't-
syllable down, the 2 syllable.
Yeah.
So,
Brian?
2 syllable.
Okay.
Brian.
Billy.
No? Billy? Close.
2 syllables. Brian's not 2 syllables.
Benny.
Brian. Yes, it is.
Mm,
Brian.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because you count your jaw opening, right? For syllable. Brian. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
English podcast. You guys are
uh,
close. It's one name, 2 syllables. Not traditional name. More like a kind of what you would call a dog, honestly. But yeah, I'll get one more guess. It's not Buddy.
I got nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
Nothing.
No, I
Steven.
don't remember.
Correct name is Laddie. Come here,
Laddie.
Laddie.
No.
Yeah, that
Come here,
sounds right.
Laddie. Yeah.
All right. So this one is guess the movie based off the IMDb Did You Know section.
Oh, love that.
First one is trivia.
Okay.
Okay.
If you pause the opening witch burning scene of his daughter at 2:25, over the burning possessed girl's right shoulder, you will see the face of an angry demon in the flames.
Hmm.
I should give it away, I think.
You would think.
Quotes. What kind of virus makes someone cut their face off with a piece of glass?
Wow.
Resident
I don't
Evil.
know. You tell
It's
me.
wrong. It's not Resident Evil. Now you gotta
Oh,
wait.
Blew his load early.
Mhm.
You did. Goofs. This is a character error. In the beginning of the movie, Mia makes David cross his heart. He makes the motion over opposite side of his body, his right side.
I know it now.
It's too bad. I only got one more. All right, Todd. So this is a
yeah.
crazy credit.
Okay.
In a deleted mid-credit scene, after defeating the abomination, Mia attempts to walk home but collapses in exhaustion on the road. A trucker credited as Billy Bob stops and drives her to the hospital. As the camera zooms into Mia, she awakes suspiciously.
What was the first one you said? First hint?
The very first one. If you pause the opening witch burning scene of his daughter at
I don't know.
2:25, over the burning possessed girl's right shoulder, you will see the face of an angry demon in the flames.
I'm gonna throw one out there. The Last Exorcism.
Wrong.
Dang
Joe,
it,
you know it?
Joe.
I think I know it. Is it the Evil Dead remake?
Correct. It is.
I was gonna say
remake.
that. No. I don't remember the demon burning though.
The witch burning at the beginning, like with his like
What's burning?
yeah, like she's
Oh.
like already like in witch form.
Okay. Well,
It's cool intro.
all right.
Alrighty.
Yep. Back to you.
Back to me. All right.
Mhm.
3 letterboxd reviews. Guess the movie.
Okay. I'll try.
All right. Review number 1. This movie is not even a little scary. It is, however, a lot of stupid fun. It is filled with stupid choices and plot holes, but I found myself laughing in the way that only high-budget, early 2000s B movies can give you.
Interesting.
Number 2. The tagline for this movie is "See Evil," and that should give you a hint as to why I like it.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, keep going.
All right. The
Steve, you
last
got one in
one.
the chamber?
No.
Okay.
And the last one. I've never seen a movie whose first 10 minutes are so staggeringly eclipse the remaining 80. It's actually impressive.
Early 2000s. That's throwing me off a little bit.
See Evil's the one I'm latching on to here. Is it Piranha 3D?
Incorrect.
Ah, fuck.
Think about the
The theme is
theme
what's-
this
yeah.
week, too.
I don't even know what the theme is.
Oh, too bad. Christ, I have no idea. No.
What's the theme?
2000 is
That's the theme, 2000s? Oh,
no, I know this one's in the 2000s. That's what's throwing me off.
what's the
I have no idea.
what's the theme?
None of your beeswax.
The Dawn of the Dead 04.
Incorrect.
Correct. Okay.
I thought, honestly, the last one would have given it away. A movie whose first 10 minutes are so great.
Oh, I know now.
Well,
Ghost Ship.
It is Ghost Ship.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Right before you said it.
Yeah.
What is the name of the bioweapon in George Romero's The Crazies?
Oh, fuck.
We just watched it, too.
We just watched it.
Yeah, I know.
Just watched it.
I don't remember, though, yeah.
Okay.
It was one of the last ones I watched, too. Like,
That's the first one I watched. So it's I don't know.
Agent 80.
There's no agent in the title.
All right.
Nor is there a number.
I don't know.
Nothing? No guesses?
Nah,
Trixie.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that.
Trixie is- Yeah,
of
Trixie.
course.
Yep.
No clue.
Should have known.
All right. Guess the movie by the cast.
Oh,
Ted Raimi,
Yep.
Bill Pullman, Jason Beer, Clea Duvall, and Yoko Maki.
Yoko Ono.
And I'm going to give you the, after you guys guess once, I'll give you the start of the film.
Ted Raimi.
and Raimi, Bill Pullman.
Bill Pullman, yeah.
Oh,
Clea
it's a big
Duvall,
one.
Jason Beer, and Yoko
Who's
Maki.
Jason Beer?
He's the co-lead of the
Yeah.
film, so
What,
that's why I only mentioned it because he's the co-lead. I don't actually know who he is,
Oh, okay. No other big movies.
not to my knowledge. No.
I'm gonna skip my guess.
I can't think of many horror movies that Bill Pullman has been in.
I could think of one. Well,
is
one
it
other one.
is it fucking Serpent in the Rainbow?
No, that's the other one I can think of that he's in.
I'm like,
So the
Alright.
star of this film is Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Oh.
oh, The Grudge.
Yep, it's a grudge.
Okay.
So my theme this week was all remakes.
Nice.
Ted Raimi. I didn't know Ted Raimi was in that. I've only seen that one time though in the theater.
Ted Raimi appears in a lot of stuff for like a minute.
Yeah.
You know?
And he's always in a suit at cons, so
Yeah, same as
Good
his
for him.
brother.
good
So,
for him.
yeah, Sam too. Yeah. Very cool.
Is that it?
Yep,
That's it.
We're at a three-way tie for quarter number 3,
Wow.
15 apiece. Me with the 3, Joe with the 2, Steve with the 1. 15's across the board.
Wow.
It's getting interesting.
And no
Very
trivia
nice.
next
Like it.
week, so it's gonna
Ooh,
2 more weeks then.
wow.
Is there no,
I
no
like
trivia
it.
next week?
No, it's a
Oh,
60s episode.
60s,
So,
yeah.
That's
I
right.
cannot wait to get that episode done with because I'm fucking tired. It's just
You're
like,
over it too. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Mhm.
And now it's time for our main event of the evening 2006's The Hills Have Eyes, directed by Alexander Aja. Is it Aja? Is it Aja? I don't really know. It's something like that,
Do
though.
the French pronunciation, Steve.
This is AHA.
AJA.
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 Aja. All right.
Alexandra.
Well, there we go. Is it Alexander?
It'd be
Or is it
Alexandre.
Alexandre?
Give
Yeah.
it the whole fucking shebang, Steve. Come on. Don't be shy.
Alexandre Aja.
So sexy.
Wonderful.
Turn around.
Yes.
Do it. Do
Sexy.
smart. Do it very
Lovely.
slowly.
Lovely. Starring, of course, Ted Levine, Kathleen Quinlan, Emily De Ravine, Michael Bailey Smith, Tom Bauer, Aaron Stanford, and tonight's very special guest, Vanessa Shaw. Plot: a traveling family falls victim to a group of mutated cannibals in a desert far away from civilization. Great, simplistic synopsis right there. I'd say it pretty much covers it. But Todd, you do things that no other person can when it comes to plot synopses. So why don't you take it away?
Thank you very much for that, Joe. Thank you very much. All right. We are in the desert. We have some scientists. They're wearing like masks. They have Geiger counters. They're doing some testing. Like, what are they doing out in the fucking desert with their masks on? What are they afraid of? Oh, wait, they're nuclear test zones in New Mexico? What the hell? So these scientists are going around, right? And then suddenly they're viciously attacked by an axe-wielding mutant that just goes fucking ape shit. Awesome scene. Then we have a little title montage, right, where we're getting introduced to the, who directed the film, who stars in it, and so on and so on. Spliced in between nuclear tests, you got bombs going off, you got soldiers being forced to fucking sit in the blast zone, which is fucking insane, by the way. That's fucking lame as hell. And then we have little pictures of like news articles and pictures and stuff showing deformed persons. We have, babies with two heads. We have stunted growth and things like that. So we kind of learn early on that the people that were in this region in New Mexico that the scientists were just attacked in kind of had some birth defects brought on by the U.S. government testing the nuclear weapons, right? So we cut after the title screen, we catch up with the Carters, who are road tripping to California. They're going out to San Diego. You got the cast that Joe just mentioned, led by Big Bob, as you guys would know as my favorite accent Joe can do. If he wants to go ahead and do it for me real quick.
Oh, wait. Was she a great big fat person?
I love it. Of course, they go to a gas station and someone's like, well, if you just go down that road, it's not on the map, see? But if you go down the road and make a left, you'll go cut down about 2-3 hours there. And of course, Bob's a fucking detective. You think he'd be a little smarter than this fucking hillbilly telling him to go on a back road? No, Bob, you're doing the mistake everyone else does. He follows the guy's instructions, gets on this rickety ass road, and of course, he crashes a truck. But unbeknownst to him, someone put some spikes across the road, popped his tire, and that's what led to him crashing into a boulder. So yeah, the family, they have to split up. They go one way. We have the Carter family, young boy, teenage daughter, and you have like what's his name, Doug, who's like the son-in-law, married to Vanessa Shaw, and they have a young child together, a little infant baby, and they Bob and Doug go off in opposite directions trying to find help. Doug finds like the crater to like a nuclear test where there's just like a bunch of abandoned vehicles, shoes, fucking baby toys, just like people randomly drop their stuff there and disappeared. Kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, right? And then Bob goes back to the gas station trying to look for that old creep, and he finds some creepy stuff, and he goes on high alert and is attacked by one of the family members. So now we're following as the family is besieged by this group of mutants, and they have to try to fight back because shit starts going down. Saw this one in the theater back in the day, and I fucking loved it. It was a packed house, really good time. I loved it then, watched it, every few years, and love it every single time, including this time, man. I think it's action packed. I think the acting is really well done. I think while it is ultra disgusting, and I know we'll get into it, that whole RV invasion is insane and very effective, although very hard to watch because the performances are excellent. And I just think it takes everything that the original did and just upped it and improved upon it. So I really love this movie. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think it does take what that original movie did and just ups the ante every single way. Man, one thing I forgot watching it back this time, I too saw this in theaters when it first came out, and yeah, man, I think this movie for like a like high budget remake, like it fucking wasn't scared, to get raw, get visceral, and really disturb mainstream audiences, which I think is a good thing, in a lot of ways, especially for a horror movie. Man, one thing I forgot though, watching it back, is how much of a slow burn it actually is. The first like hour of this movie is all build up, but I think it's so necessary for this movie. Like it's not boring either. Like you really are connecting with the family like in that first hour, which makes the RV scene even more just brutal when it happens. But yeah, man, it's great. Like there's really not a dull moment in it. And, it's obviously like your basic sort of 3-part tiered movie where you have, your intro, the middle part, which is brutal, and then sort of the end revenge part, which is also awesome. Also, like the title card in this movie is so interesting too, like with all the fucking mutant babies and shit like that, which is like, whoa, like it's just like, it starts off so like with this like weird country music playing over the background too, and then all of a sudden like the soundtrack is great in this movie too. But yeah, man, it's great. The makeup too, holy shit! Like Greg Nicotero and Howard Berger fucking killed it too. Like the makeup on all the mutants look awesome in this movie too. The setting is great. They filmed it in Morocco, which we learned in the interview. But yeah, man, I loved it. I loved everything about it. Never a dull moment, and it's fucking awesome. It's one of the best remakes I think of all time.
Yeah, and I echo what you guys said. What we watched, the other Hills Have Eyes during the Craven retrospective, and they're good, but this one just takes what Craven did and just improved on it. In a lot of ways, I really love the look of the mutants. I like the way that they're portrayed. I especially like the one near the end with the like kind of big brain. I always thought he was like super creepy. Like you said, they don't have, they're not afraid to really go there, and they go there, in that RV, and it was uncomfortable to watch, but it was important to the story. You need to have them as the villains, and they really kind of established that. Yeah, it's a super enjoyable film. It's got, like you said, really great makeup, and yeah, it's one I could watch kind of often. It is one of the better remakes out there. They did exactly what a remake should do. They really take the spirit of the original, kind of do their own thing a little bit, but still, keep the spirit of it and improve it in a lot of ways. So I really liked it, and that really good cast. A lot of these names we now know. At the time, I didn't really know a lot of these people. I knew Ted Levine was because obviously, Silence of the Lamb was the big movie. I wasn't really familiar with Robert Joy at that time, but I have been since then. And of course, Emily DeRavin was on Lost for a long time, and Vanessa Shaw, obviously. So it's just, yeah, it's really cool to see all these people kind of had made something for themselves after this, and that's a solid movie.
Leave Doug alone. He's a Democrat. Dude, take the gun away from Bobby. He's pointing it at fucking people. Like, safety's on. Shut up, Bobby, you little douchebag. But yeah, I mean, let's start in the beginning here, man. You go to this gas station. This guy's clearly a piece of shit. I know it's a horror movie, but like, Bob, man, you gotta be fucking better than that, Bob. Why did so the gas station guy seems like he's regretful, right, of his part of it. Why does he lead the family to their deaths? Is it just like a last hurrah? Because he kills himself right after that.
Well, I think it was profit. It's like he it's just as when you do something over and over again, eventually it becomes like almost routine. And I feel like he almost had this sense of I have to do this, but this is the one that really made him kind of regret what he did. And yeah, I think that's why he still did it, because he didn't do it at first, right? The only reason that he did end up doing it is because the dog went back in, and that's when he decided to lead him that way. But had the dog not left and gone into the shop, they would have just left, So,
Mm.
yeah.
Why is he working with them, you think? Is he like part of their family?
Money. Like
Yeah.
it
Just for
seems
money?
like, yeah, basically it seems like they have a deal where you lead them and we'll bring you, because if you remember, like they bring him like all the jewelry and like anything he can sort of pawn, or like the wallets, like all they care about is breakfast or lunch, I mean, they just want fucking chaos, and they're cannibals. Whereas this guy's only doing it for money to live, essentially.
His place is a piece of shit still.
Right. I mean, because like, who's coming to get gas there? Obviously, the dude
That's
isn't
true.
making much money. He's fucking literally in the middle of nowhere. He's definitely not surviving much. I mean, you saw like what you go inside. There's like one bottle of maple syrup on the the shelf and shit like that. So I mean, it's basically for food essentially, and uh, for survival. I guess he's desperate and he's sending people off to their deaths, which is brutal. Like, I mean, he did say he was out though. I agree. Like, it was a little confusing of like why he is. He seemed really remorseful, and then he does, yeah, he sends them on their way. I agree though. Like, I feel like Bob is smarter. Like, he's supposed to be like the level-headed one in a lot of ways, but then he's like, oh yeah, let's take this like 3-hour shortcut through the hills. Like, I would feel like, no, I'm not doing that. Like,
Yeah, I'm staying on the paved road.
right.
Actually, speaking of which, just sidebar question. So I travel a lot. I drive long distances, and I know Todd, you do as well sometimes. Would you stop at a gas station like this, or how picky are you about gas stations when you're traveling? Because I'm like super fucking picky. Like I will do 3 different exits just because I didn't like the way the gas station looked.
Now I wouldn't go to that one particularly, but I have been to one where like, I mean, there was a car that had bullet holes in it, stuff like that. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna gas up and get the fuck out of here. But like, nah, because this is like, what year is this movie supposed to be in? Because there's no cell, there are cell phones, right?
I'd say it's current time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cell
Take
phone.
the
The guy's a cell phone
2007.
Yeah.
specialist. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
You're
he
right.
sold
Absolutely
cell
right.
phones, yeah.
So like, why were they even in this area to begin with?
Well, it was their anniversary. That was the thing. So they were doing a trip,
Yeah, but
but
that's not the road to
he
get to California from
no, but
Chicago.
the wife even says it. She's like, he wanted to see the country, like the desert.
Ugh,
Like
dummy.
he wanted to take the scenic route basically
All
to
right, makes
see
sense.
desert, which is like, okay, I guess.
Which brings me to something I wrote down. It's a rare example where while they still make a weird decision. I mean, you don't know you're gonna get hunted by a family mutants, right? You can forgive them for that, but they make this weird decision to go off the road, but they also have guns, right? They have multiple guns with them, which is exactly what I do on a road trip. You have your, firearm, whatever, and you're like, okay, they're gonna have some protection. Bob, cop, doesn't doesn't help him. And then Bobby, dumbass, can't shoot for shit, doesn't help him either. So it's like, okay, cool. We have like this security blanket, but then it still doesn't matter because they're outmatched by this family, which I thought was a really cool touch.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, do you like the characters other than that? Like the family? Do you think there are too many of them, too few of them? Like, how do you feel about the characters in the movie?
I felt it was perfect. There's a great like dynamic there. Obviously, like the father who kind of dislikes his son-in-law, in a lot of ways. Yeah, no, I thought that was like the perfect amount of family, and I think they all have their own sort of personalities. I didn't dislike any of them. Bobby's like a little annoying, but like you could tell, like he has like the love for his family and like the dogs and stuff. And I really like the scene where he finds the dog dead but doesn't want to tell the family, but he's like sort of panicking internally without telling anyone. I really liked all that. I would say like the most useless one, I guess, would be the youngest daughter, but she does get her sort of revenge at the end there. Essentially, I think she's honestly just there sort of in the plot to get assaulted, which is as sad as it is to say. But I mean, both daughters end up getting assaulted. So I think they could have probably cut her. If we're gonna cut anyone out of the family, I guess I would cut Emily de Ravine's character out of anyone. But overall, I thought all the characters were great in their own ways. They felt very authentic in a family dynamic for the family dynamic they were setting up.
I agree. I liked them all. I liked Doug, and I liked his arc too, of kind of being like a little wimpy guy that everyone discounts to being the hero. And his arc, especially his killing spree at the end, is fucking awesome. And I think it's necessary to have the Vanessa Shaw and then Emily DeRevan's characters in there. Vanessa Shaw, obviously, because she's like the older sister, more mature and everything, and her demise is just fucking awful because she's going through some. It's just fucking gross scene where he's breastfeeding. It's hard to watch. And then while her sister's getting raped or earlier getting raped, it's like the whole fucking sequence is just so gross to watch. but it really makes you hate those characters even more. So it's effective, and I think every time we watch a movie that has like an assault scene, we always bring up that it's unnecessary. So could you cut that? I think so, and still be effective. But still, it wasn't like I spit on your grave level. Like, okay, make this stop already. At least it was, not a whole lot of runtime, I guess.
It didn't show. It was implied a lot more than it was actually shown, thankfully. So I think in that sense, it was better in this film. It's not like they're really making kind of gratuitous and gross. Like, we get the point. We didn't need to see more than that to understand what was going. And I love that they had a baby, because when there's a baby involved, the stakes are always higher. It's just like you're always afraid, like what the hell the mutants are going to do to the baby. And so I really like that part of the story.
Yeah, and the when Robert Joy points the gun at the baby's face, I'm like, oh gosh, like, you fucking freak. But that whole scene, like we said, it's just crazy. And then right before that too, or during that, Bob's death is like insane, like getting burned
Brutal.
alive, and they show his bubbling skin and stuff. It's
Yeah.
wild, man.
Yeah, I think, man, that whole 20 minutes is just like, it's just like like, even like watching it now, I found it still pretty fucking like brutal. I'm just like, wow, like it's so visceral. It's just like one thing after the other of just terrible shit happening. Like, just the thought of watching like the family watching their father, husband burning alive, is just so fucking disturbing. And yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and then you just get into everything that happens in the trailer. It's, it even have fucking one of the guys biting off the bird's head, and eating the blood and stuff. It's just like they're so disgusting and just creepy looking, and that they don't like there's just like they're not doing it for really any reasoning, other than just to be fucking like psychopaths, really. Yeah, it's really, really disturbing even like now. Like it really is a scene that I think it is effective though. Like you said, like it's so effective because it really makes you just hate those characters and just makes you want that revenge,
Yeah, and
that
then
we do end up getting.
yeah, and then right after that, he executes Shaw, Vanessa Shaw, and then shoots mom in the stomach, and then
Hmm.
they run him off, and he's like, oh man, he tells the younger one, like, I'm coming back for you. And it's
Yeah.
like she's terrified. They run off. He's gonna execute her, right? And then the gun is out of ammo.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's fucking
he tries to shoot her in the head because he's like,
ugh.
look, because he wants her to look at him right
Yeah,
before
yeah,
he's
yeah,
ready
yeah,
to kill
yeah. Ugh.
her. Yeah.
And then Doug and them get back finally, and then like mom's dying, and she's like, oh, like, is Bob back yet? And
Mhm.
she reverts kind of like in shock, and he has to lie to her, saying like, yeah, everyone's fine, they're over there eating, they're good, and she passes away, and it's fucking like, and his baby's missing. So like, gosh damn,
Yeah.
it's
Doesn't Vanessa Shaw like wake up too
Yeah,
from the
which
from
is
the
she
gunshot
does
in
brutal.
the
Like
head?
yeah, he's
for
like,
a
are you,
few,
yeah,
yeah, for a little bit.
for like 10 seconds. Like
Yeah,
she
yeah.
takes like her final breath, which is even more
Yeah.
like just disturbing. Yeah.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
What about Bobby, man? Go ahead.
Apparently they wanted to make it even more disturbing.
Oh, well, I don't know
Right.
where they
What
could
I
have
had
gone
read,
else.
they wanted to have kittens instead of the bird, and they wanted
Oh
them to
no.
microwave the kittens,
Oh no. Let's not go
which
there.
would have been fucking crazy.
I would have been out like with that,
Yeah.
because
Cats.
yeah, with cats, that's like,
No, I
you know,
know. Yeah,
like
killing animals is.
Bobby is unconscious for like 5 fucking hours, dude, in the in the desert when he
Oh
falls.
yeah, that's
I'm
right.
like,
Yep.
this guy has serious head trauma, man. Like, he's severely concussed, and no one goes looking for him. They just leave him out there till like the
Yeah.
night hours. I thought it was pretty funny.
See, they do kill a dog though, Steve. Yeah,
They
but as
do.
long as they're not microwaving the
yeah.
cats.
Well, then my craving cat
Yeah.
is just a fucking like stick, like
It is sick, yeah.
yeah. I
Well,
mean, the
these
dog.
motherfuckers
I
are
wasn't
pretty
happy
sick,
about the
man.
dog either, but
Yeah.
it's the way it is.
Yeah.
So I want to say how much I love the sets and the visuals in this, man. The nuclear test crater looks awesome. The test town that we get to a little bit later is really cool with all the mannequins. The mine that Doug goes into and sees kind of like how they were living a little bit. Gas station, and my favorite, absolute favorite visual scene in this movie is when Doug is locked in the ice chest, and it kind of zooms out and he's banging on it, and it's blood, and there's the bats bouncing. I just love it's shot extremely well, man. And I was just looking at his filmography. I'm like, he hasn't made anything since Crawl, man. I'm like, what are we doing? Get this guy some money.
Good point. Like, yeah, I mean, obviously right before this he did High Tension, right? High Tension came out not too long
Hmm.
before this one, and then this.
Yeah.
And what do you do after this?
He did
You-
Piranha, High
Piranha.
Tension, this
Okay.
one, and Crawl.
Yeah, that is interesting. They need to give this guy some more money. Crawl was probably his weakest, if I'm
Yeah,
being
I think
honest.
I think Crawl 2's coming out. That's what it's on
Yeah.
IMDb. So we'll
Nah,
see.
get out of here. I want more visceral shit like this, honestly. Like he seems to do that really well. Like he High Tension and this, I think were his two best movies. Like when he does he can do sick pretty good. Like so I'm all for it. Like these style movies I think is definitely in his wheelhouse. So I definitely would love to see more stuff like this from him. He did nothing to do with part two, right?
No,
No.
no, it's a
No.
totally different
Yeah.
story. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of like their lair, like the house that they're in at the end there, where they have the guy with the big brain and they have
Oh, it's so
kind of
cool.
the
Love it.
nursing mother, I guess you could say, and she's watching fucking like divorce court, which is
Yeah.
like it's so
They
funny.
got
Like,
the little mutant kids wanting to be played
Yeah.
with.
Which,
yeah,
how would they get cable out there is my question.
Well,
Bit
they
of
can't get a
a
cell phone, but they can
bit
get
of a
cable.
reach, bit of a reach if you're asking me.
right.
I don't think if the government's creating a nuke town, they would worry about cable in the nuke town. But that's just. But no, I love that. I love like Tuts. I love the whole nuke town setting. I think it's so cool with the
Mm,
like the mannequins and shit like that. And yeah, man, the more mutants, the better. Like I'm fucking all for them. I love them all. They're
I
all
get it.
fucking great. Yeah.
So we got Beast doing his thing. He kills the mutant pretty early on, which is really cool.
Yep.
And then Doug and Beast go on like a tag team, and Bobby and the what's the younger daughter's name? I forget.
I
But
forget
Bobby and
too.
the younger stay behind. They hatch their own little scheme, and then Doug's like, I'm gonna go. Oh, because Doug calls them on the fucking radio that they confiscate,
Right.
and then they put the crying baby on the radio. I'm like, these motherfuckers, dude. Imagine going like as a dad, I don't like you just lose your fucking mind, dude, if that was happening. But Doug, badass Doug, man, he goes hunting him down, and which leads to the coolest fucking sequence of all time where he's fighting that big ass jacked mutant, and oh my
Yeah.
gosh, so cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, his arc is fantastic, man. Because he starts off as sort of this sort of, pussy, for lack of a better word, like a pussy sort of type character that kind of is getting walked all over by the his father-in-law and stuff like that. And then he becomes just like the ultimate badass. It's really cool. It's really awesome to see. And yeah, man, just like he just gets bloodier and bloodier and bloodier like by towards the end of the movie, and just seeing him kill all these mutants that completely destroyed his family. It's just so satisfying. It's awesome.
Yeah, Doug should have cracked that bald chick in the back of the head when he had the chance, though.
Right?
And she gets the drop on him. And same thing with like, I love that Beast comes in and kills the big brain dude because he's like breakfast time, a little creepy fuck. But he should have cracked his big ass head too, like cracking everyone's head, man. Um,
Do you have any sympathy for any of these mutant characters though? Like,
the
cause
little
they
kids,
the
sure,
little kids, yeah.
yeah,
Ruby was pretty good. Like
yeah,
she,
Ruby,
true.
yeah, she tried to save him,
she was
and
the savior, right?
She's
yeah,
like
Like,
Jebediah from TCM remake,
yeah,
yeah,
kind of nice.
yeah.
Jebediah.
did
But
that.
like, so is that why they're killing all these people though? Because they feel like we wronged them, right? Like
I
that's
think
kind of
so.
what that one guy says is like, you kicked us out of the mines, or we wouldn't leave this town because they wanted to do the nuke testing. So does this movie have like a message of any kind? It's
Um,
like
I
I don't
don't
know. Like I was trying to determine if there's any sort of message here.
aim straight when you have a gun,
But no,
Bobby. I don't
I
know.
was thinking just like how the government kicked these people out of their town and
I
like
guess
yeah.
it's like a shitty ass mine town though. Anyway, so like, go get lost. What do you guys think about the mutants? I think if I had to pick a weaker spot, while I absolutely adore their look, I think in the original they had a little bit more personality, minus Robert Joy. I thought, obviously he was the standout, and Pluto, instead of being kind of like Michael Berryman looking, he was more like of a brute. But more specifically, I guess the main mutant, what do they call the main guy? I don't know. He kills Bob, but in the original, he's kind of like a bigger part of it.
Mm.
Do you think they could have fleshed those guys out a little bit more, or do you like them the way
I
they are?
think so because yeah, you don't really spend a lot of time with a lot of the mutants. They kind of come and go really quickly. Some of them you see a little bit more, but they don't develop them in the same way that the original had. And I think the original did it because there are less mutants. In this one, they add a little bit more, but maybe a little bit more character development would have gone a long way.
I don't think it was necessary, honestly, just because, like, it's not like they're trying to get you to care about them or like you see them for what they are, which are just, psychopaths, and you just want to see them die. So I don't think it was necessary to develop them as much in this one.
Oh, I thought it was hilarious that Doug stabs Pluto in the stomach with like a severed or a cracked baseball bat. Nothing. Pluto's fine. And then he stabs him in the foot, and the guy's like, "Ah!" screaming at the top of his lungs. I'm like, what? Okay, well, I guess it hurts. But yeah, him killing him with the American flag is so fucking
Yeah.
cool. I don't know if I don't know if Steve rolls his eyes, but I thought that was like, yeah, let's fucking get him.
It's pretty typical,
I love it.
of movies like this. Yeah, it was a cool kill though.
Very cool kill.
There's some very cool kills in here. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was like what, screwdriver, flag, axe combo, like on that one.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Overkill. And then yeah. Then there's one mutant who isn't like a mutant at all. He just sort of looks like a homeless dude. The one they like blow up in the trailer. Like he's just
Oh,
wearing like
that's like
a
the guy that
long
killed Bob, though.
overcoat. Yeah, but he's part of the mutant family, right? But he has like
Yeah.
no
He had
sort of
like he had like a
mutation.
nose thing, didn't he?
Did
Or am I
he?
thinking of the original? I don't
I
remember.
don't
This dude
remember.
didn't look like a mutant at all. Like he just looked like a normal dude.
That's just Jim.
Yeah, right.
Jim hangs out. I think that trap was a little bit more effective in the remake, though. It made a little bit more sense,
Yeah.
like how they set the gas up and the matches and all that shit. I don't know if it would work in real life, but it was pretty cool. Big old explosion.
It's cool. I don't think it would work in real life though.
No,
I
it would take
don't
hours, right, to build up
yeah.
like that.
I also don't think like opening the door would cause those matches to light. Maybe they would, but I don't know. You'd really have to open it fast.
Can you open it again?
I feel like they would also just break most likely, but
That's true. But then yeah, he's not dead, and fucking she gets her payback and stabs the fuck out of him. Although
Yeah.
that's not the guy that rapes her, though.
No.
So would you rather have her kill Robert Joy's character instead of Doug shooting him with the shotgun? And
I
then
think so.
Ruby?
Yeah. I think it would have been more satisfying for
Mhm.
her to get the revenge. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But-
And then at the end, Doug gets his baby back, thinks he kills, what's his name in the movie? Is it
Is it
Pluto's the big
Pluto?
one?
No,
No,
Pluto's
Pluto's
the
the big
big
one. Something.
Lizard, is that?
Lizard.
Lizard.
It is Lizard, yep.
Mhm.
And then Lizard's not dead. And then Ruby, right?
Yes.
Saves the day and tackles him off the fucking cliff, and they both die. I don't know.
Is that what happens in the original too? Does Ruby save the day in the original?
She gets the baby away from him. I don't remember if she tackles him
Mm.
off. I just watched the fucking thing.
Yeah.
I don't remember if she
Everyone-
tackles him off the thing, though.
I don't think she does.
Yeah.
I think she does sort of is the savior in that one too, from what I remember. It's been a while since I've seen the original. Well,
But,
maybe not that long, a couple of years, but you know us with our memories here.
True.
Not great.
Although I know our memories are weird. Like sometimes we get shit instantly, and other times
And
we're
then
like, "What?"
did you have a problem at the very end though? Did we need the fucking goggles at the end?
So that's
like,
my
to make
question.
us- yeah.
What is it for? Sequel?
Nothing. It's for the studio, right? I think it's like the studio, like, well, we need like a ending to set up a sequel, I guess. Like, I just
Yeah,
think it was totally
which they did.
unnecessary.
So-
Which they did, but it
and
wasn't.
that's actually a big
necessary.
part of the sequel. Is the that is
I
how
don't-
they
Did they kill Doug in the beginning of the sequel? I don't remember.
they're all are they presumed dead, or
Oh, really?
Someone
So
came
they
out-
don't make it out.
they do make it out, because that's why the scientists and the military go there in the first place.
Okay. So my question was, are we supposed to think that Doug and Bobby and the girl are killed? But then the sequel answers that they're not.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Mhm.
Well,
Or maybe they I don't remember. They say it right at the beginning of the film too, and I don't remember. But
They
yeah, I'm pretty
did.
sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they. Yeah, I don't remember.
I'm gonna remember. I need to find out her name. If freaking Emily Delarivans. Let's see.
Brenda.
Brenda. Yeah.
That's right.
Nice.
There you go.
Favorite kill? And
Probably
why
the
is it not
American-
the American flag kill?
Probably
Yeah,
the
I was
American flag kill.
Yeah, definitely. If not, Ted Levine's was really.
Or I was gonna say,
brutal.
or
Like,
Big Bob's. Yeah,
Yeah.
Big Bob's is fucking brutal. Like,
I'm
yeah.
just getting water. Water, dollar.
Daddy.
Daddy. I don't know. I like the mutant that's outside with like the neck guard thing. Like
Oh yeah,
whatever
yeah.
that is.
Who is actually Greg Nicotero?
Oh, cool. He
Greg
doesn't really
Nicotero
do
plays
anything,
that
and he
dude.
gets fucking murdered anyway. Like I love
Yeah,
it.
right.
Like yeah, let's kill him. And then obviously when Beast rips out Fuckface's throat, that's pretty
Oh
cool.
yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Did you
Yeah.
guys get any video game things from this? Because like I feel like there's like a Fallout sort of vibe to it.
But yeah, Fallout is
And
definitely
all yeah.
like inspired by this, and in
Mhm.
part anyway,
Mhm.
with the nuclear winter and
Isn't there a game like with a dude who walks around with a dog too and is sort of like a
Fallout.
badass? Fallout. Oh,
Yeah,
is it Fallout? All right,
Fallout
all right,
4.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is Fallout. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
There
The
you go.
dog's name is Dog Meat. Yeah.
Dog
All
meat.
right,
Yeah.
sweet. All right. All right. I think we pretty much covered just about everything for this one, gentlemen. So let's get into rating it. I will start us off. It's a great remake. It's one of the best ever. 4.5 out of 5 for me. I think it's fucking awesome. It still holds up so well. I was not expecting it to hold up as well because I hadn't seen it in a very long time. But it does, man. It's awesome. It's brutal. It's definitely like trigger warning for people. Like some people will get sickened, honestly, and probably be out after that trailer scene. But to me, it was effective. Maybe some stuff was unnecessary, but I don't know. I think when it comes to horror movies, sometimes you have to put stuff like that in there to really make you feel something, and to really feel like, the revenge at the end. So sometimes I think maybe not completely necessary, but you could see why the directors make choices like that. So yeah, 4.5 out of 5 for me. I think it's great.
I'm right there. 4.5 out of 5, man. And it's mean. It looks freaking great. It's shot extremely well. The colors, the blood, everything. Doug's arc from Wussy to Manly Man is really good. And you feel for the family man because you like the characters and they have brutal endings for the most part there. So I loved it. 4.5 out of 5. And I'm so happy it holds up because it's great.
I'm close, just a little bit lower. I'm at a 4 out of 5. I think it's a great film, great remake. I don't know. I just feel it wasn't quite a 4.5 out of 5 for me. Like there's a few parts I found a little long-winded, and it's not like the most colorful movie. It's very one-toned movie, and that kind of, although it's important to the story, it kind of suffers a little bit for that as well. So 4 out of 5, still absolutely great remake, and one I actually think is better than the original.
All righty. Well, let's see what our friends over at Letterboxd have to say about this movie. They didn't like it, folks, as much. Audience average of 3.0 out of 5. So definitely a lot lower than what we currently have over there. And then, yeah, just out of curiosity, I want to see what the original Hills Have Eyes have. Just slightly higher at a 3.1 out of 5. So according to Letterboxd, they have it, the original. They don't agree. They have the original better than the remake, and we would all disagree. So there you have it. All right. I think that is going to do it then for this week's episode. We hope you enjoyed our review of The Hills Have Eyes. Next week, it's a big one, Steve.
It is. So we're finally doing the top 10 films of the 1960s. So we're each going to give you our top 10 films of the 1960s, and then we're going to do a master list. Like I said, you have basically just the day this episode releases to send your list to Joe. Thank you to everyone who have already sent their list. It's going to help with that episode quite a bit, and I look forward to talking about it. I don't know. I don't know what to expect with these lists. I think we'll probably have a few of the same movies, but after that, I'm not so sure. So it'll be interesting to see what we get from it and what people, the consensus is on the ultimate list. So stay tuned for that big episode next week.
Prediction: top movie of the 1960s based on
Psycho,
for Master List.
Psycho, probably.
Psycho.
Psycho. I was thinking people would do Rosemary's Baby.
And I'm thinking Night of the Living Dead.
Oh,
So
there you
Okay.
go.
let's see.
See
We
that?
got 3 very different predictions. And the only way for us to really know is for you guys to send in those lists. So if you haven't already, I've already had quite a few people send me lists, but please don't hesitate. Send in your list, best of the 1960s top 10. All you gotta do, send me an email, send me a DM, whatever you want to do, or over on Discord. But yeah, please do that. It'll help us greatly. Also, don't forget, check out our socials: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads. Just search the Horror Squad Podcast. You can also email us anytime, the Horror Squad Podcast at gmail.com, to get those 60s lists in. Or join the Discord, completely free to join. Tons of channels over there to go through. We have movie club every single month, like Steve talked about earlier. Also, there will be continuous updates about our movie, the final episode that we are making. Also, don't forget, leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. That helps get the podcast out there. Or you can buy some merch, tpublic.com, the Horror Squad podcast. We got a bunch of designs over there for you to enjoy. And I think that is about it. Oh, don't forget our interview with Vanessa Shaw coming up right after I finish this little spiel. But great interview. We talked everything. Hills Have Eyes, Hocus Pocus, Kubrick. It's an awesome interview, so stick around for it. And that's it. We'll see you next week for the best of the 1960s. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Horror Squad podcast, where today we are joined by a very special guest. Horror fans will know her best from her roles in Family Blood, We Need to Do Something, and of course, the Hills Have Eyes remake. But most of you will know her best for her role as Allison in Hocus Pocus. Please welcome back to the show for the second time, Vanessa Shaw. Vanessa, thanks so much for joining us tonight. How you doing?
Yay, I'm doing great. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Steve, for having me on again.
Of course, it's our pleasure. Now, of course, the big reason you're here today is to promote. It's just, it's just a bunch of Halloween weekend, which will be taking place in Salem, Massachusetts, October 11th through the 13th. We are once again very excited to be a part of that weekend. Can you tell our listeners and the fans what they can expect out of this weekend?
It's going to be packed with fun. We're outdoing ourselves from last year. We are doing a party. We are doing a signing and meet and greet signing. We are doing a burlesque, Hocus Pocus themed burlesque show. We are doing a trolley tour. And we're also doing some commentary over Hocus Pocus. So this will be one of our first times doing that in a bigger fashion, I would say. And so that'll be fun to hear, because we're also including the bullies who play Jay and Ice, Tobias and Larry, in our commentary. So I'm sure it's going to be pretty unruly and out of control, but that's okay. That's what we want. So anyway, it's going to be really fun because honestly, where do you get to go to events that are the theme of a movie you love so much with the actual actors that are in the movie? I think it's kind of rare. So we're always down to be with the fans, and we love you all so much. So we decided to up the ante this year and do even more. And so we're super excited for all the events that are taking place this year.
Yeah, and I was going to mention that because this event is pretty special because most obviously you do a fair amount of conventions and stuff with your Hocus Pocus castmates and stuff. But this is different. Most conventions, you show up and you're there and you meet the fans and that's it. But you guys decided with this event that you really wanted to get your hands dirty and sort of really make this your own.
It's true. I feel like it really is nostalgic for us, as well as those of you who are fans of Hocus Pocus, because we were teenagers making this movie, like literal teenagers. Thora was the youngest. She was, I think, 10 years old. But all of us were like burgeoning actors and young in our careers and young literally at age. So it was such a pivotal film for me personally. It was my second movie, and so I dreamed about being in these kinds of movies because I watched Disney's movies incessantly when I was a child. And so this was like a dream come true. So reliving all of that with all the fans over and over again at these conventions made us realize we want to do something on a bigger scale and do it ourselves. And, we wanted to curate how it came off to people, and we wanted to do the parties that we felt were fun if we were to participate in it. Because again, I honestly, just to be honest, like if I weren't in this movie at all, to be honest, I would have been a huge fan of it because it's totally my jam. Especially at the time it came out.
Yeah.
Right age for it, all of that. So yeah, I feel like we want to live the nostalgia with all the fans, because we're just as nostalgic as you also. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know for the fans that are coming are in for a treat because I had heard Larry has some behind the scenes footage that he had filmed that you guys are going to be premiering at the screening, so that will be very
I
exciting to see.
know. I cannot believe he did that. And what's crazy is my mom probably has more footage because she had those big, huge, heavy cameras that were over the shoulder, like 7 bricks on would video everything. And so who knows where that is? I mean, he's so much better at archiving, clearly. But maybe one day I hope to add her side of everything. But I can't wait to see. He's told me a little bit about it, but I haven't seen any, so I'm excited. Yeah.
Now, the popularity of Hocus Pocus, it just gets bigger. Like it seems like every single year, like every year I go into a store and I see more and more Hocus Pocus stuff on the shelves. And obviously we got the sequel last year. It sounds like there's gonna be a third one coming. Like so my question for you is like when you're like out like in a shopping mall or whatever around this time and you start to see all of this sort of merchandising pop up, 30 years later, do you ever like sort of pause and reflect and just say, wow, I really was a part of something extremely special?
I seriously do. I feel honored. I feel, interestingly enough, there are so many movies that I was a huge fan of, in the theater, like, um, interestingly enough, like Titanic, for instance, is a huge
Mm.
blockbuster. But the fandom for Hocus Pocus is far reaching than that movie. I feel like it's like, because it's a I really feel like it's because it's a seasonal movie around a holiday that's geared towards children, that generations are, finding out about it more and more year after year. So I go into those stores, or I see, honestly, like my son was watching a YouTube thing the other day with the teenage kid. I don't remember what it was, but he likes doing pranks on people, and he was talking about how he's going to do this prank to like scare his friend that there's a ghost, and then he was like, "But you can form a circle of salt to protect yourself." So it's like, it's so weird that Hocus Pocus, dialogue as part of like the vernacular of just an everyday kid YouTube channel, that nobody may ever understand. It's like seeped in there. And so I just feel like just how I felt about like Julie Andrews and Mary Poppins, or Haley Mills, like with Parent Trap when I was growing up. I feel like if I saw them right now, like out and about, I would die and like literally pass out because of how much impact they had on me as a child. Because I watched it over again on my own free will. But people are almost geared towards watching it. It's like it's Halloween time, even if you don't like Hocus
Right.
Pocus, here it is. And thank God it's a good movie, or otherwise people would be so annoyed. But so it's that repetitive kind of nostalgic, jolt that you get every time you see the movie. So when it's just a part of the vernacular, part of like everyday shopping
Mm.
for Halloween, paraphernalia, it's just mind-blowing to me because of how much I know how much nostalgia lives inside of me for those kinds of, actors I just mentioned, but like how that is like literally put in your face every single Halloween, and even earlier, it's already out. All the
Yeah.
paraphernalia is out already, and it's
Mhm.
only the end of August. So
Right.
yeah.
One thing that's synonymous with both Halloween and Hocus Pocus, of course, is Salem, Massachusetts, which
Mm.
is where the event is going to take place in October. How was it going to Salem? Maybe the first time when you went through the filming of Hocus Pocus versus when you're coming for events like this and getting to re-experience Salem for all its Halloween madness.
Yeah, well, first of all, I've been it's just been amazing to do these events, with you and all the people in Salem have been helping support us to make it happen. And I'm glad we've proven ourselves not to be just usurping everyone's time and money to make this happen. But it's interesting for me to see, in everyday people who own the shops, the storefronts have Hocus Pocus paraphernalia too. Whereas before, obviously when we were filming it, there was, nothing to be found in terms of our movie because it hadn't been out yet. But I just remember Salem being a very, very sleepy town. Again, I was a teenager. I don't know, like I had traveled a lot because I was also modeling a little bit. And so, maybe I expected more. I don't know. But what I was struck by was just the beauty and the calm that I felt, and something that a teenage girl like me from California has really never seen, which is the leaves, the foliage. Like I wanted to be in that every single day. I was like, I want to go for a walk. I want to run in the leaves, jump in them, get buried in them. Like I just was like, this is just so brand new for me. It's just like someone coming to the beach here, I guess. So, the sleepy town thing was kind of eclipsed by my awe of the beauty of the New England foliage, during autumn. So, but yeah, I think I remember just there being the Salem Witch Museum, and that was it. And obviously the Common, and that was where I learned more about, like, obviously American history from there versus Hocus Pocus history, which is now what I think people are looking for on the tour nowadays. But I think because I was 16, I was also learning about the American Revolution, and all of the things that were taking place were right there. So that was a flashbulb memory for me. I'm like, wow, here I am, So it just seemed more of a historical feeling to me. And again, Omri remembers this, that we went to go to Walden Pond as well. And of course I was reading that in school on Walden Pond. And so that was really interesting, that like my studies as a student were reflecting in my work. I mean, they say like work in daily life can be synonymous, but I was like, this is a little too creepy. I like how the timing of it all,
Yeah, I mean, I will say Salem definitely used to be that sleepy town, but I think, and I do think Hocus Pocus has become a big part of why people are coming in more and more. As you saw, obviously, last year when you were here, the amount of people that dress up like the Sanderson sisters showing everything. It's unbelievable. And you guys are definitely a big credit to that. I gotta ask, it doesn't have to be, I guess, Salem location related, but is there a particular scene that you filmed that sort of sticks out as being either just a favorite that you filmed, or perhaps the most challenging one that sort of sticks out as your a big memory for you?
Well, the one that was my favorite, of course, for the reason I just mentioned, you'll understand why when I say what it is, and also the most challenging was the scene with Max and Allison when she's dissing him and giving his phone number back. I just, I think up till then I had only done one other movie called Ladybugs, and there were definitely scenes with big extras and like a lot of people moving and activity before a scene, because it was just all about like the stands and the players and all that. But because it's a soccer movie, for those of you who don't know.
Oh, I remember it fondly. Actually, I watched it a lot growing up. It was like on, I feel like, TV all the time in my youth.
Yeah, it really is. And so for me, that I felt it was different because I could feel this energy and like go, and the extras over here like moving, and just like to get that cinematic moment of panning across and I'm walking and the leaves are falling just so, and the people are moving. I don't know what I thought it was going to be like, but when I arrived, it was like everyone was ready to go, and I was like, we had done maybe one rehearsal and then we were on, and I just was like, I don't want to mess this up. This is like the most beautiful basically panoramic scene of this, you know, beautiful foliage with me, and it's like kind of pumped up to be like, oh, the romantic moment, and it's a complete diss, which is funny. But I was so nervous. I felt like my lips were twitching. I just felt like I'm gonna mess this up, and I felt very shy in that scene, which is supposed to be badass, but it still came off badass. But it was like, I just remember being like, I am gonna mess this up, this beautiful scene with me being confident in making a button. Um, so yeah, that was just more of an internal struggle for me as a young actor, only having been my second movie. But otherwise, I feel like that whole movie was a breeze.
Mm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. I got one more Hocus Pocus question, and then we'll jump over to some of your horror credits. Obviously, the fans and all of us were disappointed when, none of the legacy characters came back for, of course, the sequel in Hocus Pocus 2. But I want to ask you, where do you think, and I'm sure you've thought about this, where is Allison today? Do you think she's still with Max? Where do you think your character is today?
Well, it's very interesting because if my family ran the museum, wouldn't Allison be in the museum? So I was very perplexed by this.
Yeah, it's true.
I was like, she's running the museum. She's in charge of
Yeah.
the historical society. Like she just, and it's probably like a front for her to protect everyone from the Sandersons coming back. So she could just like, be like hyper vigilant about it. So, she's definitely working there in my mind is what I thought.
Okay.
And she's definitely married to Max. They're so, you know, funny, and I'm sure he mellowed out and is, just as mellow as he was, his California laid back attitude. And that probably drives her crazy because she's, totally different East Coast girl. Um, and I feel like they have kids, and I feel like, that's just what she would want. And, you know, they say that when people get married, usually the guy moves, if it's a heterosexual relationship, the guy moves to the woman's side of the family and wherever. So that makes sense, even just historically with couples who get together. So anyway, I just think she's there, he's there. I feel like Danny's there. I feel like she's doing her own thing, Miss Independent. And the bullies are there too. I feel like no one,
They're all there.
they leave
It's a
they
small town,
probably,
right?
those guys, yeah, who never left their hometown. Maybe Allison and Max talked about moving to California, but her family is so rooted in Salem. It just seems like she would,
Mm-hmm.
again, with that personal, like, determination to be like the hero and not have that ever happen again.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll find out in the third movie. I mean, I hope Disney heard, from the fans that were so disappointed in the with part 2, not seeing any of you guys come back, and like, let's, listeners, everyone listening, let's try to push to get
I
everyone
know.
back for the third movie. It would be such a treat to see you all back.
Honestly, because we loved the movie so much and we loved the
Hmm.
experience. We were talking about this the other day because we do see each other on these convention routes all the time.
Hmm.
You know, honestly, I would have been like a janitor. Like I don't care. Like it could have been funny if like maybe I was a janitor in the museum. Like, like I just didn't quite make it, or who cares? And then just, not even having any dialogue and looking up and being like, hello, can I help you? Um, and that'd be even more hilarious. Who knows? But it's I really, again, appreciate everyone speaking up for us in that way. Because we were the heroes. We were the
Of
heroes.
course, yeah, big time.
Yeah.
I always say the kids, I've always said this, I think the kids were the stars of the movie. Like, I know most people levitate towards the Sanderson sisters as being, but I always thought the kids were the ones I think you really connect with in that movie. And I mean, they're the heroes. They saved the day. So I
Yeah.
think, yeah.
I think that, um, newer generations are speaking up.
Yeah.
Maybe people of a different generation were like, oh no, they're the heroes because they could relate to them because they were the same age, So now
Mhm.
it's a different generation, many generations later. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, you mentioned the janitor being playing a janitor, and I gotta say that's actually a perfect segue to get into our horror stuff now because we are going to be covering the Hills Have Eyes remake this week, which I'm going around the circle here, but Wes Craven played a janitor in Scream, actually, so that's why I mentioned
Oh, yeah, yeah.
that. But so yeah, the Hills Have Eyes remake. I want to ask a couple questions about that because I actually think it is one of the prime examples of a remake that surpasses the original in just about every way. I mean, obviously Wes Craven is an iconic director, and Hills Have Eyes was one of his original classics. But man, that remake, I will never forget seeing that movie in the theater, and it like rocked me to my core with how sort of gritty and dark and disturbing it was. The subject matter obviously was very disturbing. When reading through that script, a couple questions here, I guess. Were you hesitant at all about taking a role like that? And also, had you seen the original?
So the director, Alexandra Aja, is kind of, he's an auteur director. I know he's a director in horror films, and some people would poo-poo that, but he had his own like vision and influence that caused him to make um, the amazing decision of offering every single person in this movie their role. So nobody had to audition.
Wow.
They were all handpicked by him, and he was fans of every single person. He had seen them in a horror movie or some sort of thing that made him think these are the perfect people for these roles. And so I felt, because of that, I felt immediate trust with him. And you know, I I had seen his original movie, his first movie, Hot Tension,
Mm.
and I was like, man, this is like all out, full on, no holds barred. I was like, but it was good. For me, I'm a wimp. I don't like horror movies. I get scared. I am just a wimp, and yet I'm in them, which is me, but maybe it's a good thing. And I bring vulnerability. But anyway, he his movie, I was like, this is um his professionalism and his artistic vision was so great that it kind of eclipsed and made me forget it was a horror movie. So, for my wimpy reasons. So I felt like I really got his vision and his storytelling. And when he approached me with it, I said, yes, but I do have a question about the scene where, you know,
Yeah.
that that scene. If nobody
If people have seen it, they know.
if they've seen it.
Mhm.
And he's like, no, 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 this is not going to be gratuitous. There's no
Mhm.
point in that. It's just going to be, more graphic, and obviously what's going on in your mind too, in terms of um, that, and more about the emotion of what's happening. So that was my only question. Also, nobody knows this, but we got to film in Morocco, which,
Oh.
he's French. So he's like, oh, we don't have to go all the way to New Mexico for me. He's like, we can just go to Morocco. I've seen these hills everywhere in Morocco in the Sahara Desert. And then upon going there, I was like, oh, yeah, this does look like New Mexico, oddly, these mountains. So I got to go to Africa. Like, I was like, okay, I'm not going to say no to Africa either. And I mean, that was an experience in and of itself. Just, Kathleen Quinlan and I got to go see the Berbers, the indigenous people there, went on our own little trip, not speaking, you know, um, like speaking the language at all. Like there so many people were trying to speak to us and we didn't even know. And we had a driver who spoke a little French, and I was like, I speak a little Spanish. He started speaking French and I'd speak back in Spanish, and we kind of got it, through everything. But this was like the most, I was like, I'm doing a horror movie and I'm like experiencing life and culture here. So
Mm,
again, we're so fortunate as actors. We get to do these interesting things and go to interesting places that you normally would never go. So, um, yeah, I couldn't deny going to Africa. That one scene, he explained it to me. I was ready to go. And I had seen the original, and I was like, oh, if this is gonna be like the original, this movie isn't that scary. So I was like, I'm good. But having seen his debut film, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be raw. Um, and it was, and um, it was great, and he succeeded, and he made it better than the original. That's a
hmm.
very good thing to do, because he just did not hold back, and I think,
Yeah.
and he does what's good about him is he doesn't hold back on character, and he doesn't hold back in terms of the violence. So you are connected to the character, and that's what makes it so hard to watch, because if you just didn't care about it, it's some slasher, you're like, whatever. But I think that duality is so important. And that's what I felt like was existed in High Tension and in this movie as a remake.
Yeah, something I'm curious about is you have a wide range of roles in different genres, comedy, drama, horror. Is there something different about a horror set versus some of the other genres? Because a movie like Hills Have Eyes, you have this group who stay in the desert the whole time, they're together the whole time, they go through something really, extreme in a lot of ways. Does that make you closer as a cast, or does it maybe you get into your heads a little bit more? Like, what's the difference between a horror set versus other genres?
That's a really good question. I wonder if you get closer as a cast because of the horror aspect. Um, Interestingly, I feel like what happens is when you go on location, that becomes easier. And particularly for Hills Have Eyes, because we're in a foreign country, in different continent, it was wild. It was like so different. I'd never experienced the extreme difference of culture in my life. I really had culture shock at first. And also the time difference, and um, maybe it was some of the shots I had to take before going there. I don't know, but I was like, I feel like I'm in another planet. So we were all staying in the same hotel, this hotel called the Berber Palace, which had its heyday, and there's cockroaches everywhere, and it's disgusting. And you know, that was the extent of our luxury experience there. It was just like getting sick, from the water, because obviously it's not the same water we have, and um just really tough circumstances in terms of filming. I mean, we're fine as like humans, but it's just like, I have to go to the bathroom right now, and you're in the middle of a scene. It's just like, it's crazy. Anyway, there was um the closeness I feel really came from um again being on location. And again being in a totally foreign country, foreign in the extreme way of like, real culture shock. But beautiful too. I just remember you know, the call to prayer every morning at 5 a.m. It's just like over a loudspeaker, and Muslim prayers were, you know, done every morning. And I was just like, I just, I just embraced it all. It was amazing. Yeah, I feel what's for just personally, I don't know if you were asking this too, but personally, like everything is so visceral in a horror movie that you just have to like know kind of what you're doing, and then it's just go. And then you have to literally like get into your body a lot more than any other really any other genre. And so, you know, you might be just like running around before they say action, so you can be you know, with your breath, and um thinking about like extreme circumstances. So I always feel like I have to like decompress so much after doing a horror movie. Take lots of baths and go to spas. Like my poor body has been through more than my brain, you know. So
Now, did Craven ever visit the set?
no, he didn't, but
No.
he had a bunch of his right handed people that were there.
Mm-hmm.
And they were also lovely. And the Fox people were there too, but yeah, he never came, but he was very happy with what apparently transpired. Or at least he never came when I was on set, but that's kind of rare because I feel like I was pretty much on set the whole time except for after, you know,
Right.
Mize. But spoiler alert, sorry for anyone. Bleep. Anyway. uh you know, and there was a good 2 weeks I think they filmed afterwards without me, so could have come then. I don't know, but I'm not sure.
All right. And then my final question, as far as Hills Have Eyes goes, is did Alexander Aja give you any sort of like homework prior to filming? Did he want like were there any certain movies he showed like wanted you to watch before filming this one?
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Mm.
That would be his kind of thing to do.
Mm.
um I don't remember watching any movies in preparation, but I think he was saying you probably did share movies in the style of, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because he was such a cinephile. I mean, he was freaking out that I worked with Kubrick, so
Yeah.
every day.
Which which is a great segue to this will be my honestly, Vanessa, we could talk to you for hours because you have such a lengthy filmography and you know, but we won't keep you much longer here. But
Well,
obviously, you know, we could pick your brain all night. But the last question of the night is also a loaded question, and it's quite
okay.
and it's quite simply, can you share your experience, insight, and any you know stories you can give us about working with Stanley Kubrick?
So working with Stanley was a life-changing moment. Um, Prior to getting this job, I did Ladybugs, Hocus Pocus, did other films that were age appropriate. And this was the first movie I got that was more mature. Like, you know, I was 20 getting this part. And I had seen Kubrick's movies and loved them. Literally, I'm not kidding. I think it was 2 months before I saw Doctor Strangelove projected onto a wall in Seattle with my friend who I, you know, was hanging out with during the summer between my freshman and was it my freshman and sophomore year in college? Yes. And she was like, you know, we were like, what a great movie. And like, just mind blowing that 2 months later, I'd get a call from him saying, you know, them saying I got the part um, in this movie. Because again, being so young, my parents were pretty progressive and were really wanting me to see the great directors. So I watched, you know, The Godfather, Godfather Part 2 and 3. Like we did a binge weekend and watched all of, you know, 1 and 2, and then went out and see 3 as a family. It's like, that's pretty dope. So, you know, and that was like 91 or 2 or something. I don't even know the third
Yeah.
one. Yeah, so it's like 16, you know, 15. So the fact that I was able to be in such a like the historical film was mind-blowing to me. I knew from the beginning it was going to be because of how many people love him. And so it wasn't like, will this movie make it? It's like, no, it was just who cares? It's Stanley, you do this movie. And I, upon going to work with him, was thinking in my very young brain, I was still thinking, I'm a child actor. I need to be perfect. I need to have my lines right. No one's going to deal with any BS from me. I have to be perfect because no one wants to work with children or animals, that kind of thing. So I walked into a world that was like totally presented in a different way of a structure of filmmaking that I'd never seen before. It was very slow. I met with Stanley for um, 2 hours one day in my first meeting in his office. And then he looked at his watch. He's like, oh, it's 3 o'clock. Okay, we'll meet tomorrow. And I'm like, wait, what was this? Was it just like a meeting? I was like, what are my lines going to be? And I don't even know the script because it was very, top secret. And I'm like, supposedly you're supposed to be shooting this in 1 week. Like, I'm so not sure what's happening. And so then the next day, same thing, 2 hours talking. Okay, we'll meet again tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, just all right, let's just slow down. Everything's gonna slow. The third time was Tom Cruise, who came in with, like I think Stanley had within the first few minutes asked him to come in, and then he left the room. So it was just me and Tom sitting there. And I was like, what's going on? How are we gonna be doing anything? Like I know my scenes are with you, but what are they? And he's like, "Oh, relax, Vanessa. It's fine. You're good." Just gave that 1,000-watt smile, and then Stanley came in and he's like, "I'll see you soon." And I was just like, "Okay, if Tom Cruise, who is still the hardest working actor back then, is so chill," I was like, "Okay, I just got to get into the zone with Stanley." So I'm not kidding. Like literally a week later, um, we're rehearsing the scene and he's taken some of what I said in our conversations and written them in the scene about my being a student, studying sociology. Those didn't make it in the movie, but he had me write it in there. And then he was on set. He pointed out some bookshelves and was like, "Hey, look, this is books on sociology, and um, there's a book on dominoes, and that's your name." And so then I read the script, and I mean, I may be saying things out of order, but the script was very much a skeleton of what it ended up being. And I had to give it back. I couldn't, it was like one script that everybody passed around.
Wow.
And they were like knocking on my door. I was reading in my dressing room. They're like, "Are you done yet?" And I'm like, okay, all right. So I'm like, okay, again, just take in whatever this world of Stanley is. And so I'm like, I'll be done in a minute. And yeah, that process really shook me out of being a perfectionist, because once we got the scene on its feet, because it's like really only one scene in two parts. I mean, nobody remembers that, but that's what it is. Is that I remember just being like, this seems like this part is taking a really long time. And then I asked his line producer, who is his brother-in-law, and I was like, how many takes have we done? He's like, oh, it's 69 takes, and you've beat out Full Metal Jacket for the most amount of takes. And I was like, oh my God. And I just realized something changed in me, of this repetition that just got me out of perfectionism. I was in a zone. I was literally like an athlete in a zone. And because I never did sports, I was acting the whole time. I didn't even know what that was. But I'm like, this is definitely what people experience when they're talking about being in the zone. And everything fell away. Like, props I had to move were just happening automatically. And so I really took away my own process from working with him because of his perfectionism. And I noticed how severely perfectionist he was, because at one point it wasn't, I don't think, that one shot that took 69 takes, but I was, oh no, it was after the 69 take. I was like, I'm going to pay attention to see what the heck is going on for 69 takes. And so he basically looked at the camera first. No, he looked at the lighting first, then the camera, would give notes on the camera, and then finally it was the actors. Because interestingly enough, as I was paying attention, he ended up saying to me, "Did you do that before?" I'm like, "Yes, I've done that every single take." And he's like, "Oh, we'll do it again." I'm like, "Okay, this is my proving my point that he's seeing the big picture and the lighting and then the camera, and then comes down to the fine tuning." And I mean, I was just like, wow, it's so let the process unfold type feeling,
Mhm.
which you can never get on any movie. And so it's just like, I'm never going to have this experience again on any movie. So I've got to bring this to my work. And um, it was really exciting for me, because by that point, I was thinking I may not act anymore because of how limiting I felt as a child actor, even though I had fun, of course.
Mhm.
But I was like, people say they have these like life-changing experiences acting, and I'm like, that is not what I'm experiencing. And here was the experience, and I was like, wow, okay, that's what acting is. And Stanley pulled me aside at one point and was like, you're really good. And I was like, no, you're really good, Stanley. Like, I can't, it's all you. And he's like, quiet, I'm trying to talk to you. And I was like, okay. And he was telling me, at that point I was still, because I was transitioning from a child actor to a mature actor.
Mhm.
I was still had like my mom as a manager, and he's like, I think you're grown up now. You should really think about that. He said Marilyn Monroe could have been a great actor if she wasn't so attached to her coaches and her acting teachers.
Mhm.
And it's funny because I think she's a fantastic actor, and so many people kind of put her in a hole or pegged her in a certain way when she really had more depth.
Mhm.
So it's like I understand what he meant. And then so it was literally a job where I like spread my wings. And he said, I know that you're thinking of leaving acting and maybe just finding something else because you're going to school to figure it all out. And he's like, I think you should really stick with this. And so I ended up going back to school for one semester, and that was it for my junior year. And thought I was only going to be one semester, but I only lasted 2 weeks. And I was like, no, I really got to do this. And then he passed away. So it was really like, oh yeah. And then he also said, if you ever need any recommendations, have people call me. And I was like, am I dreaming? Like, this is so crazy. Um, but I wasn't dreaming, because at his memorial, and at like, it was the memorial at the Directors Guild of America. His his daughters were like, my dad really loved you. And I was like, I loved him too. I felt like he had a huge impact on my life. And they're like, just gave me a hug. But he really did. I was looking at quitting, and that whole process was opened me up to like, oh, you can really get deep into a character and get deep into a scene. And I even wrote a backstory on my character. So there was a lot of me, um, of who I am now, because of that one experience that took forever, because it was 6 months of shooting for
Mhm.
one scene.
Wow.
And anyway, so he really changed my life. And I was very sad when he passed, because I felt like I had someone who I could connect to, who is real and not Hollywood, for the rest of my life. But I ended up speaking to him in my heart, and having feeling like he's rooting me on somewhere out there.
Mhm. Vanessa, we've interviewed hundreds of people on this podcast, and that story and that whole answer was probably my favorite answer
Oh,
story we've ever had on this. And I'm not just trying to pump you up. I sincerely mean that. That was amazing. Thank you
thanks.
so much. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was special. Um, I mean, that I think that's a perfect way, honestly, to end this interview. One last thing. What about an underrated gem? Is there an underrated movie out there that you feel like a lot of people haven't seen that they should check out in your work?
Um, let's see. This is a good question. I mean, in terms of comedy, I feel like Corky Romano is like underrated because it's really funny and slapsticky. And recently I had the opportunity to see Chris Kattan in the same city when I was doing a convention. He was doing stand up, and I was like, was it the fact that like Zoolander like eclipsed us? Like I didn't remember why when it was released that it didn't do as well. And he's like, no, it was the week after 9/11 or the weekend
Oh.
9/11, and um they told everyone not to go into public spaces.
Mm.
So he's like, they said don't go to the movies. And so like we kind of bombed, but that one is underrated. And I feel like that one's having a comeback because people are seeing that it is pretty funny. And I mean, I laughed my entire experience on that one too. Yeah. And I guess for maybe like a more dramatic one, I would say Side Effects, a Steven Soderbergh movie that I did. It's kind of cool, thriller, and I feel like it's kind of came out ahead of its time because of the subject matter. It's like, people on antidepressants and the effect of that, and how one woman just totally uses it for her advantage and, you know, as a ploy. And so I feel like if that came out now, people would just love it. Um, but those are the two I think that most people would enjoy if they haven't seen it yet.
All
Depending
right.
on the genre.
Excellent. Well, everyone, make sure go check out those Vanessa's underrated gems. Vanessa, once again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And if you'd like to hang out with Vanessa and the rest of the cast of Hocus Pocus, do not forget to join us for It's Just a Bunch of Halloween weekend in Salem, Massachusetts, October 11th through the 13th. You can get tickets at itsjustabunchofhalloween.com. We have this linked, of course, all over our socials and everything. So you can
Yeah.
find it on there. Vanessa, before we let you go, is there where can the people find you? Where, if you want to promote your socials or you got any projects coming out soon that we can look forward to?
I have one project that's called Nichols. That's kind of a thriller as well. It's about this young man who basically goes into a coma, and when he comes to, he starts identifying with his neighbor's dead brother. And so that one's really realistic because you're like, this could totally happen in real life. And Rob Riggle is in the lead in a dramatic turn, which is kind of really cool. And I play the son's mother. So yeah, the lead boy's mother, I should say. Um, and that's coming out in spring. And they have something else I can't really talk about yet, but Rufus is interrupting me anyway. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I have something else that's coming too, but you can find me on Instagram, and although all my friends are pushing me to go on TikTok, but right now it's Instagram at Vinessa Official, so Vinessa Official on Instagram. I'm on Twitter or whatever it is called now too, but I'm never on there, so don't bother reaching out to me there.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Once again, thank you so much, Vanessa. It was a pleasure, and we will see you very soon. Do not forget, everyone, once again, it's just a bunch of Halloween.com for all details and tickets. Come hang out with all of us, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
It's just a Buncha, Buncha.
That's right.
Buncha. All
Bye.
right, guys.